You were the girl who was too much, too sensitive, too emotional, too dramatic. You felt everything, twice as hard as everyone around you. And somewhere very early, you learned that this was a problem to be managed. So you've got clever. You learned to read the room before you walked into it. You copied the faces. You laughed a half second late because you were following, not feeling. You were rehearsed the small talk in the car, and you got so good at hiding it that no one ever knew. You passed at school, at work, in every room. And then you would come home, close the door, and have nothing left. Not for the people you love the most. And somewhere in all of those years, quietly, you decided the problem was you, that you were broken, that everyone else got a manual that you never received. So let me tell you something today, and I need you to feel it in your body, not just your heart. Nothing is wrong with you. There was never nothing wrong with you. You were not too much. You were more perceptive than the world was built to handle. And it called that a flaw because it could not keep up with you. You have spent your whole life apologizing for a nervous system that was never broken. It was a gift no one saw that you had. Today, I want you to stay with me. This apology you hold it for so many years is stopped. Welcome back to Happy Healthy Homes. I'm so glad you're here. Wherever you are, take a breath with me. Let your shoulders drop and stay with me because this episode is so important for all the women around the world. If you're new here, my name is Etienne. I call myself Etty, and I have more than 20 years experience in design. I created the nervous system methodology. I do this work because I lived my whole life exactly how I just described it. I came into this world with a sensitive nervous system, and for years I was told I was too much, I was too sensitive. What I felt was never a weakness. It was information. Now, I help you read your own spaces and change them so they can finally give your energy back and support you. Because here's the truth. 100 years ago, someone saw you clearly. I want to tell you a story. Her name was Grunya Sukhareva. She was from Russia. And in 1921, in Moscow, she opened a school for children that their mind did not fit the world around them. And she did not study them from the behind the desk. She lived with them every single day for years and years. In 1925, she wrote the first clear description in history of medicine of what we now call autism. And in 1927, just 2 years after, she did something no one else would do for the next 93 years. Stay with me. She saw something, she wrote about it, and for 90 years, nobody understood this. You're going to understand what she saw on those beautiful children that were not understood by the world. In 1925, she wrote a paper about the boys. And then in 1927, she wrote another paper in Russian about the girls. What she noticed different about the girls. And what she saw in those girls, it's exactly what I explained on the introduction. It's you, it's me. Their signs were fainter. Their feelings were harder for them to control. Their intense interests were quieter, easier to miss across a room. No one of them had an intellectual disability. She was describing in 1927 the exact thing we spent fortune trying to understand today. Girls with the same mind and none of the same signals. So she understood back then, living with the children, that the boys and the girls had completely different signs for a neurodivergent mind. Girls who sleep past everyone. So the girls, they fake it much better. Let me say this plain, because you have waited your whole life to hear someone say it without softening it. You are not dramatic. You are not difficult. You are not too sensitive. You were a girl with a mind the world had no ruler for. So it measured you against the wrong one and called you the failure. That was never the truth. That was their mistake. And you have been carrying it as shame for how many years? How old are you? I've been carrying it for 34 years. It's been very recent that I discovered I am neurodivergent. Put it down, it was never yours to carry. Because then the world looked away. In 1943, a man in Baltimore described 11 children. In 1944, a man in Vienna described 4 boys. Those 2 papers became the foundation of everything medicine, education, the buildings we put children in for many, many years. So those 2 papers wrote later than what she did was the full foundation for studies and a lot of things that happened after. Her paper done on the girls was not even translated into English until 2020. So after 93 years of silence, hear the line and notice where it lands in your body. They built the ruler out of boys. Then they measured the girls against it. So everything was based on the papers done in Vienna and years later, where they studied boys. And then they tried to identify neurodivergent girls with the same lens, but they needed to see it different because they had very different signs. And most girls were never diagnosed. And I can show you exactly what that censure cost, because the research is finally clear. Women are diagnosed on average 5 years later than men. At the first assessment, they are more likely to be told it's something else. Anxiety, depression, just sensitivity. And there is a name now for why they are missed. She called it camouflaging. She copies the room, trying to fit in, trying to fake their feelings. She performs the eye contact. She manages every reaction. I need to tell you something. When I'm talking about eye contact, this is one of the hardest things for me, is eye contact. For years, I really have to force myself when I'm on a meeting to have eye contact. I really perform. I'll tell you from the bottom of my heart, that's one of the hardest things I have to do. She performs the eye contact. She manages every reaction for 8, 10, 12 hours. And here's the part that's mine, the part underneath all of it. Camouflaging is not a habit. It's the body performing a safety it does not feel. All day, her nervous system scans every face and every room to make sure she passes. And it never once gets the signal it is waiting. That is a body held on high alert hour after hour, years, and we know what that leads to: burnout, to anxiety, to a woman lying awake at midnight certain she's failing. She's not tired because she's weak. She's tired because her nervous system has been braced for 30 years. And I'm saying this because after I discovered that I have a more sensitive nervous system, everything made sense. How hard it was for me to work in an open plan office, why I needed the noise canceling headphones. And it's liberating just to understand what you have, because then you can develop tools to work with yourself a bit more, and you develop that compassion you need to move on. And this is why it so often only breaks open at the big turns. So recent studies are showing that usually women, they discover they are neurodivergent when there are some really big shifts in their lives. Teenager years, who never felt it? I felt a lot when I was a teenager. My mom took me to so many doctors and really trying to understand what I had because I had massive migraines. I was very stressed and anxious and nobody could tell what I had. Then university is another one where it's a massive change for you. And that's another time that woman could be discovered as neurodivergent. And most of all, motherhood. Because motherhood costs more than she has left to spend on hiding. And here is where most women stop hiding or struggles a lot. And I'm so grateful I was able to understand myself now that I had my first daughter because my mom is neurodivergent and she never knew and she never been diagnosed. She has dyslexia. She knew that, but she didn't know that was a kind of neurodivergence. And for years, she struggled with no help. And I used to judge my mom a lot. She was not patient. She would slash on us all the time. She was always tired. And now that I discovered that we have that genetics and it's in our family, I am more compassionate towards my mom and how she didn't have support at all at the time. For a woman who has a more sensitive nervous system, home is meant to be the one place on earth where the mask can finally comes off and you can relax. But most homes never got the memo. Most homes still keep asking from her body as much as the office, the word, the tasks, the millions of things you have to do. And that's exactly where my work began. For years, I've been researching about the nervous system. Even before I knew I was neurodivergent, I knew I had some kind of gift because instead of coming to meetings and asking the people about the function and everything else all the architects were worried about, I always ask the question, how do you feel? How do you want to feel here? That was my question for every meeting. And then I would just keep saying to them, tell me more, tell me more. And I would make notes and I walk around and fill the spaces, take lots of pictures. And then I would come back with a proposal. And 90% of the time, they loved it. There was a way in my head to resolve budget, space, and how they felt. And I always took that very easy. And a few years ago, I designed some buildings for neurodivergent children and children that lives with disability, and we won awards. And the teacher said, what have you done? It's like, they are so much calmer. They are so much happier here. We didn't have to change the children. We just had to allow a space that their body felt safe so they could finally learn, have fun, and be a child again. Before we go on, one small thing. If this is landing with you, subscribe so the next episode can find you. And send this for one friend or your sister, your mom that you think that really need to listen to this podcast. Here's where the mask starts to come down at home. Not a renovation. There are so many ways to transform a space without having to spend millions or thousands with a renovation. A few changes that tell the body it is finally safe to stop performing. You can get home after a long day of work and performing and having to do all the tasks and your body really being on edge and just allow yourself to fully relax. You only need intention to start. Give you the first 10 minutes home, nothing to ask of you. No questions, no requests. The walk from the work back in the house is where the mask is heaviest. And 10 unclaimed minutes let the body cross it. And that's why I always work with my clients and explain why the entry of your house and the front door is so important. If you have a very welcoming, organizing front door, what's going to happen is you arrive home and you feel good already. However, if there are shoes and all these kind of things and there is no systems to arrive into your home, you're already going to start making lists on your head what I have to do. Or I have to organize this and that, and your nervous system is in alert. So I want you to arrive home and just drop your shoulders. Tidy up your front door as much as you can. If you really like to take off your shoes when you get home, just get some cupboards or some storage where they are enclosed and you don't see all those shoes disorganized everywhere. Put some plants, color, make it you. Respect what you like. So you get home and you're like, this is great. This is my house. I love this place. Okay? Make it you. Make one room where nobody is watching. Let me explain this. It's impossible to keep your house tidy all the time. I have children, and even when you don't have children, it's impossible. So have a resting place somewhere around the house that you could just arrive and relax for a little bit. Some houses have really nice big master bedrooms. Make that chair, that space close to a window and just allow yourself to have a little breathing, even if it is 5 minutes. The mask that we wear only drops when the body believes no one is keeping score. Take the overhead lights out of the evening if you can. It's really good to invest on dimmable lights, especially if you're neurodivergent. When I worked with schools and office and we are planning for a more sensitive nervous system, dimmable lights are very important. If you don't have dimmable lights, I suggest you to turn off the very bright lights at night and use some warmer colors, floor lights, and that will help your body to reset as well. Our body was designed to work with the clock of the sun. So in the morning, it's really important to take all the sun we can, and at night, we need to start telling our body that it's time to unwind. In your bedroom, if you can, clear one surface at a time. Anything that has a lot going on, your brain doesn't let it go. It still thinks you need to do something. So keeps your bedroom as tidy as possible, as minimalist as possible. So you can fully relax and tell your mind, that's done, the day is done, and now I'm here to relax. To a mind that has to fake things, every pile on the bench is one more thing to track. So I used to leave my towel on the drawers bench sometimes. Now I don't even leave that. It's always really tidy. Put on the bathroom. I have a plant there that releases oxygen at night. And I keep every surface in my bedroom, especially very intentional, so I can have a good night of sleep and my nervous system can finally relax. Give everything a home, the small things, so your mind can stop scanning. So here's my question, and I want you to sit in without flinching. How many of the women you love have spent their whole lives being called too much, when the truth is that no one ever built a world that could hold them? And be honest with me, is one of them you? If you do not need fixing, okay? Stop thinking that you need more discipline. That's what we're always thinking about. You never needed fixing. You need a home that stop asking you to perform. That is the work I do, one woman at a time, and sometimes groups. I take your real room, I read them for you, for your nervous system, living in them, and I give you the exact chains that let the mask come down in your own house. I open only a few spaces and a few are open out. If you're done apologizing for who you are, come and work with me. The link will be on the show notes. When they're gone, they're gone. And remember, this was never about perfection. It's about unconscious choices at the time. Your environment is shaping you every single day. The good news, you can shape your environment back. Thank you so much. I hope this episode could help you and stop blaming yourself. Start creating systems to support your nervous system. Thank you. Bye.